It is time. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to stand up. It's time for Christians to come together, to share their testimony, to inspire hope, and to join their brothers and sisters as we answer the call. Folks, it is time to wake up the lions. And I have an absolute lion with me today. Love the work that he's doing and the reason behind why he's doing it. Folks, please welcome to the show the CEO of JMK Victory. I'm going to let him tell you all about that, Jeff Kruszyna. Jeff, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you, Rory, for having me. Love what your podcast is all about and our shared affinity for the Lion of Judah, as you can see in our logo for my company JMK Victory. We want to be lions, not timid, not lambs. But yeah, happy to be with you today and looking forward to a great conversation.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here. We had one heck of a pre-interview. We had to stop for a minute and go, wait, we got to hit record because we could have just
Exactly. Yeah.
talked for
Yeah.
another hour
Yeah.
probably and gone through a few cups of coffee each. But I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure we got the rest of this on. Jeff, you've
Sure.
got a great story. It's motivational, it's inspirational, it's faith-filled, and I just want to make sure I give you room to tell that today. So tell
Sure.
everybody, who you are, and kind of what brought you to where you are today.
Sure. So, Jeff Kruszyna, perpetually known as Jeff K for obvious reasons. My very Polish last name, love it. But born and raised on Long Island in New York, went to college at SUNY Stony Brook, and that's really where kind of my journey into my career path started. I went there thinking, okay, I'm going to do computer science, go into tech, and that's going to be a lucrative career. And one Tuesday morning, walking between classes, all of a sudden, heard folks sort of anxious. Something clearly was going on. I went over to someone, I asked, what's going on? And that's when I first learned that a plane had hit one of the Twin Towers in New York City, which was about 45 minutes from where our campus was. So ran over to the Student Activity Center, and that's when I saw, as we all did on repeat, the second plane hitting the second tower. And then obviously the Pentagon, the reports of the Shanksville plane going down there as well. And that was sort of the pivot and moment where something inside me changed. It was definitely God's hand in all of this to kind of push me toward getting more involved politically at first, and watching the news, getting involved on Republican campaigns, starting a college Republicans and a conservative movement group on campus called Enduring Freedom Alliance after Operation Enduring Freedom. And from that point forward, so September 11th, 2001 through today, I've dedicated the everything that God has blessed me with as far as the ability to market, to fundraise and help support America First patriots, whether that's folks running for Congress, governor, anything, political office from president on down to school board, and as well as conservative movement organizations. Think of Heritage Foundation, Young America's Foundation, Turning Point, all those sort of great movement groups. And then more recently, starting to work in the what we all call the Patriot economy. So think of companies like Old Glory Bank or Patriot Mobile, those sort of conviction driven folks who want to make sure their dollars are supporting companies that also align with their political views. Because as we all know, and we've seen, disaster stories on the left of, big companies going woke, whether it's Bud Light or you name it, not knowing their audience and going crazy to the left. And so this kind of rising tide lifts all ships of patriotic, pro-America companies. So happy to use kind of my time and talents to support what they're doing and pair the 76, I'll round up 77 million Americans that voted for President Trump that are known to be conservative, patriotic, MAGA in a lot of cases, even though a lot of the media want to make MAGA into a negative. It's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make America great. I think we all agree with that, despite what a very vocal minority tend to twist things and have the media the legacy media backing them. But yeah, so my story, really from 9/11 through today, so coming up to 25 years, has been working on patriotic causes and campaigns.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that certainly was a catalyst for a lot of us. When that happened, a lot of our lives changed. And, I know that you're not alone there.
Mhm.
But you dedicated your whole life. You're still on that path, which is absolutely fantastic because, you and I both got to experience the unity on the steps, right?
Mhm.
On
Yeah.
September 12th. And
Right.
then, I mean, what did it take a week before,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
it was all falling apart again, and everybody was at each other's throat. And today, I mean, it's worse than ever. How do you navigate? I mean, we're going to get into your business and everything else, but just how do you
Sure, sure.
navigate, where you live, and I'll let you share that if you want,
Sure.
where you came from,
Mhm.
the people all around you, step by
Yeah,
step
I mean
with those
yeah.
beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of similarities. So grew up out on Long Island in what's commonly known as the Hamptons. So in Southampton as a local, got my first job at 14, being a dishwasher and busboy and all that. So hardworking, grandparents that came over during World War II kind of ingrained that blue collar work ethic into me. So if you look at New York, outside of the city, which is what everyone thinks of New York. It's a fairly red state. So Long Island itself, right now is fairly red. Now, back to, when I was coming up and in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, it turned fairly blue. But then there was a resurgence, with my good friend, former client, and now Trump admin, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin.
Ah,
Literally, I've known him since he came home from Iraq in 2007 as a JAG officer and paratrooper too. He volunteered for that. And Yeah, he ran for office in 2008 and lost that race, but then stayed in the fight, got elected locally, and then 2014 ran again and won that congressional seat, which is, where my folks still live to this day out on the eastern end of Long Island, and stayed there for 8 years before running for governor in 22. And so that's where you really saw the kind of, the macro side of the map of, it's a red state, but the population center of Manhattan has, dominated the state. And if you look at our national politics, whether it's Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, now Mamdani, they're all New York City Democrats. So you're seeing sort of that influence on the national scene. And then for the last 20 years, I've lived in Northern Virginia, which again has turned blue, with the kind of sprawl of the government workers and such, in the three counties of Northern Virginia here. So living in Loudoun County, which for your listeners and anyone else that may come across this, if you Google Loudoun County, you're going to find we made the news for all the wrong reasons during all the COVID shutdowns for kind of the craziness at the school board level and on the trans issue and the pornographic textbooks. So there is a Parents Matter movement, and that's what we saw here locally initially with Glenn Youngkin winning the governorship back last term. Unfortunately, last year was not good for us, and we saw really the left let their veil drop, where you have Abigail Spanberger, who's had a career of pretending to be a moderate and campaigning as a moderate, and then governing as a hardcore far leftist, whether that was her congressional voting record or now in her first few weeks, few months as governor, trying to pass all sorts of crazy, anti-Second Amendment, anti-life, I think there's like something like 50 new taxes on everything from DoorDash and Netflix to you name it. And then we've got a ballot measure here where the left is trying to gerrymander and looking to steal away four Republican congressional seats, basically under the guise of making it fair. And they've spent, I want to say by now, over $10 million on these ad campaigns with Barack Obama and Name Your celebrity. They're very well done ads. As a marketing guy myself, I give credit where credit's due. But they're going to end up taking our congressional delegation from a 6-5, six Democrat, five Republican, down to the map that they drew, which will be a 10-1 map. So they'd make it an 11-0 map if they could. But there's at least part of Southwest Virginia that they couldn't touch. But if this ballot measure passes in the next couple of weeks, it's definitely gonna I mean, one, dramatically alter the national scene, because right now Republicans have on any given day a one or two or three seat majority. And so, yeah, all that to say, my neighbors back home, are still the blue collar, I think of that, yeah, as you mentioned, the 9/12 kind of sentiment of love America, love our local law enforcement, and know plenty of friends growing up that are volunteer firemen to this day, because their dad was before them and their granddad before that and all that. And here locally, I mean, yes, we have a lot of government employees and contractors and folks like me that work in the swamp on the political side. But again, it's and you saw it, I think, come with during COVID, where Glenn Youngkin was able to rise above it all and defeat a Democrat on this Parents Matter movement, because you know the average person, I'd say 95% of everybody would say it's not okay to have a biological man going into a girl's restroom or competing against them in sports. I don't care if you're, a Democrat or a Republican. It's whether it's fairness or just simple biology. I think we can all agree at some level, even though, the talking heads on TV may try to spin it otherwise. There's plenty of polling and just common sense that folks I grew up with that would have claimed to be a Democrat or like a Joe Lieberman type Democrat. Those don't exist anymore. Outside of a maybe John Fetterman, but he's already getting a lot of attacks from within his own party for saying some reasonable things. So it's definitely yeah, keeps me busy, paying attention and working alongside a lot of great members of Congress and a lot of great organizations that are doing the Lord's work.
All right, I love it. You've sort of danced around actually saying what it is you do,
Sure.
because you've been connecting all the dots for us. So let's get right
Yeah.
to the heart of it. You're the
Sure.
CEO of JMK Victory. Tell
Sure.
everybody what that is and what you actually do with all of
Sure.
these different
Yes. So,
connections you've talked about.
my day job outside of political speak is to do the fundraising through specifically direct mail. So, not email, not text messaging. Although I have great friends and partners that do that, but I'm talking about directly through your mailbox. So, postal mail. Your prototypical fundraising appeal that's a generally a 4-page letter telling a story, uh, whether it's the political campaign of comparing, contrasting, good versus bad, or highlighting a issue, or raising money for things like the World War II Memorial in DC. But yeah, so I've been very privileged to work alongside some great organizations and to raise over $100 million through direct mail. So I know a lot of folks have said direct mail and postal mail is dying. It's not. I've been doing this for 20 years and started a company about 3 years ago now. And we're not just surviving, but we're thriving. And donors are highly engaged, highly motivated to vote with their pocketbooks, and also to support companies that align with their political views. So yeah, it's good old fashioned postal mail. Check your mailbox.
Okay, I love that. The what's old is new again. Like you said. So,
Mhm.
the there are so many different. I mean, social media. Everybody thinks is the end all be all. There's lots of other ways to market. Um, where's your specialty? I mean, because I know you deal with fundraising. I know you have
Sure.
interaction with political clients and stuff. But where's that sweet spot for you guys where you really really kind of hit the core of the business?
Yeah, I mean, so as we're talking, we're in the heat of the 2026 midterm. So this year it's really been on the campaign side. So the political action committees and the 501(c)(4) political advocacy groups that are advocating for policies on Capitol Hill or in state capitals across the country. That being said, we do a fair amount of work, that is not tied to the politics as well, whether that's in the kind of veteran support space, so helping wounded warriors walk again, building specialized homes for those that have returned home from war, and need that extra help. Everything, you know, anything that you can possibly imagine that's pro veteran, pro law enforcement. We've definitely touched it at some point. So and then in the Christian ministry space, helping spread the gospel across the globe. Um, my business partner has personally done a lot of ministry work throughout the African continent and South America, and we love to support both with our corporate giving, and then through the services we provide with the direct mail fundraising, partnering with ministries to one, get their name out there, especially for those just either starting out or on the come up. And really, we're all called to advance God's kingdom here on earth. So that's the calling that I've felt has been placed on my heart, and I know the same is true for my business partner. And we are the dynamic duo when it comes to supporting mission driven candidates and campaigns all across the globe, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys walk the walk here too. I mean, you're not just talking about it. You only work with businesses that meet these criteria. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's always kind of the tempting thing, and I always like to say, again, cutting my teeth in New York politics, you quickly learn that Republican doesn't equal conservative all the time, and that's true not just in the Northeast, but across the country, and there's good people on both sides. But really, having that discernment, and part of the reason we started the company together was to be able to, yes, support the kind of clients we've been talking about, but also to say no to the ones where, they're starting to maybe soften on certain issues, whether that's the life issue, and the kind of the pro-abortion lobby is strong. And you do see, what a lot of folks call rhinos, the Republican in name only, are an issue, and we're seeing that now play out with the fight over the Save Act on Capitol Hill. But really, having that ability to say no, like we're only going to work with conservative Christian people, whether that's on the for-profit side, leading patriotic companies, or on the political side, where we've, turned, and yes, it's a financial loss, but everyone's familiar with Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday for a reason. And yes, they do have some darn good chicken that have people even on the left going to have some Chick-fil-A because it's good. But standing on principle. Like they're not going to change that core conviction, and neither are we. We're not going to compromise on our values and who we work for monetary gain. Ultimately, none of this is ours. It's all God's, and we're stewarding the resources and everything that He's blessed us with. So having an eternity mindset, which I know resonates with you and your audience, and myself, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you can hopefully tell how passionate I get amped up about these issues because they do hit home, each and every day, whether it's being a dad of a 14-year-old and seeing what the culture is doing, and yeah, especially on the at the school level, and yeah, just training them up to be lions, as you like to say, is what we're trying to do too, by partnering with the right kind of organizations.
Love that. The now with you having this sort of mission in your business, it seems like more and more companies are sort of joining that patriot economy and
Hmm.
saying, like you are, and coming out and saying, look, this is who we work with. We're not
Right.
going to help promote a lot of this other stuff.
Hmm.
We've seen big corporations really miscalculate, their
Yes.
moves, like Bud Light,
Hmm.
you know,
Oh yeah.
Cracker Barrel recently, some stuff like
Hmm.
that, right?
Yep.
Um, I'm seeing, so I'm wondering, you're in the heart of this, so I'm going to defer to you. Is this just me imagining it, or are you seeing much more of a shift to people in business and businesses
Hmm.
taking on the stance you're taking right now?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely been a rising tide. The Bud Light partnering with a trans activist, definitely not knowing, marketing 101 of like know your audience and who you're like for us, like who we're mailing to and who we're trying to solicit money from. Like if I write the best fundraising letter possible and we mail it to a bunch of, leftists, it's not going to do well. And likewise, you're seeing this with companies that really, came about during the Black Lives Matter movement, which, as we all know, like the folks behind that were a bunch of radical Marxist socialists and didn't actually care about Black lives because they all built large mansions instead in predominantly white neighborhoods. So it was all about greed and not actually about the cause. And that's really whether it's, I always like to bring up the age old, Michael Jordan saying Republicans buy sneakers too,
Right.
of hey, I would love it that, these companies wouldn't engage in politics, but they have been for years and years. And now in the age of social media have become outspoken. And so now you're seeing the resistance to that. And people are, taking their, whether it's their cell phone company they're using or the coffee they drink or name your product, they're finding a patriotic brand that aligns with them, and so their money isn't being used by the left in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, it's I like to say like companies don't have to have a a political stance, but they also have to be true to their own kind of consumers and their own values. So the worst case is being a hypocrite. Saying one thing, doing another. And Bud Light, again, that example of you're this iconic American brand, based on, Joe Sixpack and your average Joe drinking some Bud Light, and then getting a transgender activist to be your spokesperson doesn't really jive. And you saw, they took a much deserved bath on their bottom line, and a lot of folks and a lot of companies, came out of that, supporting just pro America, common sense, like not a crazy gender ideology, as Elon Musk calls it, a woke mind virus.
Right. Exactly. Okay. I want to back up for a minute. The
Sure.
so much of what you do is faith-based, and obviously it's the core of our show. And I appreciate the fact that you're so willing to be a lion and just stand out and say that. The what was your faith build, like? Was it your journey? Did it start when
Sure.
you were younger and we were raised that way, or was there an event that sort of, it really got you into being a believer?
Sure. I was raised Roman Catholic, went to Our Lady of Poland Church, hence my, very Polish grandparents. Was an altar boy, went to, Catholic school. And it was really during college and in that post 9/11 where I really started to dive into scripture and read my Bible and develop a real meaningful relationship with the Lord. And just I'm by no means a Bible scholar, but to be able to defend a lot of these, whether it's political positions or as we're talking before we hit record, there's a lot of kind of false prophets out there and folks taking or twisting biblical truth to fit their political agenda. And that's really been even more so convicting now, as a father and a business leader, to see like, hey, like you do need to have that grounding in truth to be able to see these the devil at work, whether it's, I know we were talking about that Texas candidate that proclaims to be a seminary student and what he's very polished and comes across to a lot of folks as truth teller when he's really spewing lies and that's how the devil works, whether it's in our culture and just the kind of toxic stuff you've seen out of Hollywood. And that's another rabbit trail we can go down of the rise in the Christian um, film space and Christian just alternative content, whether that's, a lot of folks will know like Daily Wire and what they're building there, or the Kendrick brothers and the films they've put together to counter like having wholesome movies and books and media that you can feel comfortable having your children watch. And that's part of it of it's this. I think I've used the analogy before. I don't know if it was probably right before we hit record of if you're even 1 degree off as you're sailing over time, you're going to be further and further away from the truth. So having that kind of core conviction uh, grounded in truth is all important for everyone, not just me and my family, my life, but um, happy to play a small role in helping others, whether that's through my involvement at my local church level or with the kind of clients that we serve and the bigger picture of thinking of the verse that Charlie Kirk who was martyred earlier
Yeah.
this year or last year technically just over 6 months ago of the hearing God say well done my good and faithful servant. That's really the mindset I want I have and I want my son to have and I want everyone that I come into contact to have that kind of bigger picture mindset of the day-to-day grind of yes I can get passionate about what's going on in Capitol Hill and what's on the news today, but having that eternity mindset is all important for all of us to have.
Yeah, for sure. You've brought up discipleship before. We talked about it a little bit before we started recording, also,
Mhm.
and I know that that's part of what you're about.
Mhm.
Um, I'm curious because it sounds like, and I'm sure you are building discipleship at home. You've mentioned your son,
Mhm.
multiple times.
Sure.
Um, and so, how are you going about building discipleship at home? And then also, how do you go about building discipleship through your business? It sounds like you are doing both.
Yeah. So certainly, the calling to be lions and to raise up lions, to be unashamed about your faith and don't shy away from sharing your faith, but also to know the lessons. Jesus was about love, and yes, you may disagree with folks politically, and this is back to the Charlie Kirk, and that's my son actually. More recently, in the last 6 months or so, has really gotten into listening to a lot of Charlie's old debates and the folks that are still leading his podcast. He loves listening to. And it's that, yes, it's okay to have disagreements and we can actually have a adult debate. And this kind of demonization of either side is not helpful. And that's what, has led to, this rise in political violence, whether it was, the assassination of Trump, obviously the assassination of Charlie, assaults all over the place. But at the same time, you know, don't engage in this kind of demeaning culture. And that's the one love him or hate him, Trump is going to be Trump. He definitely, I think, feeds a lot of it, but ultimately he's right, and what he's saying is in general correct. Do I wish he maybe said things a little differently sometimes? Sure. But at the end of the day, Jesus called us to love one another, and we do need to, for those that are lost or, don't know any better, and that, whether it's on the political side, not knowing, what either side truly believes in, and you're just hearing kind of the talking heads on TV, or now, in social media world, the algorithm just feeds you more the same of what you're looking at. So the folks that hated Charlie were only seeing little clips that were spliced together and were skewed, versus seeing the full context of the conversation that he was having, where he didn't demean anyone. He wanted to have that engagement with people that he disagreed with, to understand why they thought the way they did, and hopefully to share the gospel and show them there's truth there, and that they should seek the truth, and not believe the lies. And that's whether it's at home or now getting to play a little role with Turning Point and Turning Point Faith specifically, and the work they're doing with Pastor Lucas Miles leading that effort there. And yeah, it's a constant, all-encompassing battle, whether personally, professionally. It's playing for keeps, both sides.
Gotcha. All right. I was reading your bio, and everything that I was reading was like, all right, we seem pretty aligned, and most of the time that works really well.
Mhm.
Then I found this one line in your bio,
Okay.
and I almost had to cancel the interview because you're a Packer fan.
This is true. Go
I mean,
Pack, go.
say it isn't so, Jeff. I mean, how in the world do you go from Long Island to Virginia, stay on the right side of the whole line, and somehow cross over into that sort of just, oh my word, misappropriation of fandom? As a Bear fan, since the day I was
Uh,
born, I have to ask.
Okay, well, I know you're in Indiana, so I know you're gonna love that the Bears are coming to Indiana.
I do.
Uh, that's always fun. The Green Bay Packers are the real America's team, owned by the fans, including myself and my son are shareholders.
Oh,
Uh, but for me, growing up in the 90s, in the wake of the Giants Super Bowls, they were also pretty awful. And then the Jets have been they were more the Long Island team. The Jets have always been pretty bad. And still true. And there's a connection between the Jets and the Packers, whether it's Favre or Aaron Rodgers, which is
true.
funny enough. So I can root for my hometown team sometimes when they have a former Packer on there. But yeah, it was that kind of the Brett Favre era of their rise back into being title town, and then getting to go up to Lambeau and seeing a small town team, one of the original founding franchises, that would. I think we do have the all-time record against your Bears now, the wins there. It's been a good couple of decades, I guess, back
Yeah.
to back
Yeah.
to the 80s, when Ditka was there for you all. But yeah, the Packers are my team, definitely through and through, and no change in that.
All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, we're enjoying one of those Renaissance, periods for the Bears right now, where we're going to get to cut into that lead a little bit. But
There you go.
I had to ask. I couldn't figure out the geography on it. But I mean, I suppose when your choices are, modern day Giants and Jets, it's a little rough. So I get you.
A little
Okay.
bit, yeah.
All right. We're gonna let that go. All right, I digress, but I appreciate it. You do some things too in your personal life that, also you just sort of again, it's consistency of the values and it's the consistency of the message. And it looks like you have is it a dad's group or a men's group that
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
run or
So,
you're a part of?
I mean, I mean, yes, we're all dads. It's a Christian men's group. All kind of surrounding our love of cigars too. And it's a national organization, and we just have a local meetup for that called Holy Smokes. And yeah, it's just again the faith and fellowship. Not a ton, not it's more just kind of sharing life and being brothers in arms, going through the same kind of things, leading families and having young kids and all that. But we do try to at least start with a brief Bible study and then kind of just talk about life and enjoy a good cigar like Charles Spurgeon would or Winston Churchill. And yeah, it's just more fellowship than anything else, but we all attend the same church or that same kind of community there at Cornerstone Chapel in Leesburg. Which is again, we've got a great pastor, Pastor Gary Hamrick, that's unashamed in his speaking the truth and proclaiming the gospel, and gotten a lot of heat from the left because he does wade into the political fights too, which I love. And yeah, his congregation has grown by leaps and bounds over the last several years, especially coming off the COVID period where a lot of churches, didn't want to, or, still wouldn't open fully. They were open within a matter of weeks. Um, and yeah, so yeah, doing the kind of local fellowship and also, day job and, home life, all kind of rowing in the same direction and trying to do right by, the what the good Lord has blessed us all with.
Yeah. I want to go back to your business, of course. The
Sure.
uh, with a unique mix of business and your faith, yeah, which
Mhm.
I think is fantastic. I do the same thing in my business, but
Mhm.
I also know that that comes with an awful lot of sort of anxiety and
Sure.
also very often some hate.
Mhm.
You strike me as someone who, like me, has had to deal with an awful lot of blowback for building that combination of business and faith. What can you say to the people out there who wish they could be doing this, but are maybe a little afraid of it? How's it been
Sure.
for you?
Yeah, I mean, God didn't call us to merely blend in. He wants us to stand out and be that kind of, whether, I'm a big Ronald Reagan fan and his often quoted saying of a shining city upon a hill. We are called to do that in our own lives of proclaim the truth and to be bold and unafraid. And yes, I've made a career of working with, right of center causes and campaigns. And yeah, could a company make more money and double your market by serving both sides? Sure, but ultimately, we're going to be called to account, back to, the Charlie and wanting to hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant, of you're going to have to atone for the decisions you make here on earth. And when pushed, and do you compromise or do you stand, Daniel in the lion's den, like stand boldly and don't cower in fear. And yeah, it's a constant battle because there's certainly, opportunities we have, not necessarily to obviously work with Democrats because we're well known as a Republican firm, but there's certainly opportunities to work with that kind of gray area of either for profit or rhino Republican, where we just, have made a decision that we want to stay true and not compromise, not, do this for, yes, we all are, good free market capitalists and want to, uh, you know, uh, lead a prosperous life and to be able to give back, with what we've been given. But yeah, whether that's really, I think of, personally, other, friendships of folks I grew up with when, all of a sudden this Donald Trump guy won in 2016 and that kind of broke people's minds. I didn't quite understand it at the time, thinking like, hey, like all of us on our side were sort of under the assumption Hillary was going to win in 2016, and then Trump winning, and again Indiana Mike Pence as his VP, as this Christian conservative warrior who I've gotten a chance to work with him and his family, great people too, and but seeing folks that I would have thought were apolitical just get physically ill and just what, however, the Trump derangement syndrome of what that term has been coined and used, I think, to great effect. Because if Trump said, the sky isn't blue, or the grass is green, you'd get, the left, just reflexively trying to oppose him. And I mean, he said it, throughout this last campaign of, if he cured cancer, they would be mad that he cured cancer. And I'm like, can you just unplug the personality and your hatred for this one individual with what he's actually trying to do? Like, make our country great and prosperous and lower taxes and make us safe. Like, we all should agree on those things, right? Like, if this was somebody else, not named Donald Trump, like, would you have the same sort of visceral reaction? And I'm like, maybe I've been doing this too long to where, like, okay, like, Donald Trump's in the White House. I love it. But, Jesus, God is on the throne. Like, no matter who's in the White House, we have a republic if we can keep it. And every 2 years we have an election. Every four we have, the presidential elections.
Oh,
It's a, Trump was in, then Trump was, in the wilderness for 4 years. I think that made him way more effective now in his second term as Trump 47 versus Trump 45. He learned a lot about, what was going on in the swamp, and you're seeing, you know, the whoever's left, as far as the kind of old guard still trying to fight, and slow him down, because he's moved at breakneck pace over this last year that he's been back in the White House. And yeah, it's just a constant battle. But I think now, whether it's, friends back home that, unfriended me on Facebook or things like that because of my political stance, I'm like, I've been fairly consistent. I've been known as Mr. College Republican back to, 2001. Um, yes, there's the difference between, the Bush Republican and now a Trump Republican, but the core convictions of loving our country and supporting our troops and a secure country are all the same. And it's just, funny where you do have some folks that have just Trump as just broken them.
I, I appreciate your answers. I really, really do, and your honesty, and just your openness in dealing with this because it's there's such big issues, to us
Yep.
all today.
Yeah.
As we start to bring this together, you and I could talk for hours, okay, about
Yeah.
everything other than football. To be honest with
There
you,
we go.
and even then, we probably would just razz each other back and forth for as long as we possibly could.
Very, very true.
But as we start to kind of bring this to a close, let me first just make sure that we get your links out and
Sure.
whatever you want to put out there to everybody. Tell them how to contact you and You know what you got.
Sure. There's a couple ways. One, if you just Google my name, you'll find me. I'm on all the social medias. But the two easiest ways are jmkvictory.com. So my company. Yes, those are my initials and my son's initials, but I like to say Jesus Mighty King, JMK Victory. .com, or I've set up a dedicated site, just getjeffk.com, to offer all your listeners and anyone that comes across this a free 30-minute strategy session. If you want to talk, how great the Green Bay Packers are, happy to do that too. But if you want just a talk politics, or specifically how I might be able to help you or guide you in raising money for your campaign or cause, happy to have that discussion. So simply just getjeffk.com.
Wonderful. Okay, good deal. And I hope that folks do reach out to him, about this fundraising stuff. I mean, if it's about the Packers, don't bother. I don't know why anybody would want to do
I'm
that.
wearing green too, so there you go.
Jeff, I appreciate you. Let me kind of end with this, only because I mean you've been so incredibly open. I want to give you sort of the chance to kind of wrap up here. Is there anything that I didn't ask you? Is there anything that we talked about? Maybe you want to double down on, or maybe just sort of a final message, a leave behind that you want to leave for our folks. And I'll let you kind of do the mic drop here.
Sure. I mean, I would say, be bold and courageous. That's, no matter what you're doing, whether that's, in your role as a member of your family or a business leader or as an employee, like you want to have that eternity mindset. So what I do in my business of pairing generous individuals with great causes is what I've been called to, and happy to plug in and help anyone that needs it. But find your calling, seek the truth, seek a good Bible believing church would be paramount, I think, for all of us. And that I think will solve a lot of our, we can, nitpick on the politics or the sports or whatever. But again, that kind of face to face, interaction, like don't shy away from it. Don't be a, keyboard warrior. Like engage in a thoughtful discussion with someone, maybe you don't align with. I mean, we're in pretty well alignment outside of the NFL. But again, like we would have a good conversation talking about, I'm like, I'm not going to hate you because you support a team that is awful. But it is what it is. It's, that playful banter of,
Yeah.
whether that's, growing up being a New York Knicks fan on the basketball side, so more true to my New York heritage there, and they've had been awful for the last 20 something years, so they're decent again. But finding common ground with people, like there's, I'm sure, some fellow Democrat, I mean, Barack Obama's a Bears fan, so you got that going for you. uh but see, you can find common ground with even someone you politically are on polar opposite sides. Again, finding common ground and just living a good life.
I love it. I appreciate you bringing that up too. Thanks for ending with that on my podcast.
I'll make sure I clip that too.
That's I love it. All right. All right. Goodness gracious. The CEO of JMK Victory, Jeff Kruszyna. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on, for being as open and honest and authentic as you are, and just for spreading his word and everything you're doing in your business. Godspeed to you, man, and continued success. And thanks for being here today, brother. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Rory. This has been great.
Okay. Folks, thank you so much for being here today. This has been another fantastic episode of Wake Up the Lions. It is time. It's time to wake up the Lions. But more than that, folks, it's time for you to take your rightful place with your brothers and your sisters and let them hear you roar. The world is ready. You're ready. You just have to believe it.
Amen.